Welcome everyone. I am so thrilled to have you here for this explainer. Look, today you are the hero of a brand new digital adventure. We are embarking on a journey to build your very first mobile app, and we're going to start from absolute scratch, setting up what I like to call the ultimate digital workbench. By the time we wrap up, you won't just understand the basic foundation of Android mobile development, you will have actually brought a real piece of software to life.
So you might be wondering, what does it actually take to build a mobile application that ends up in the hands of millions of people around the world? I mean, it can seem like this incredibly daunting task, right? Kind of like climbing a digital Mount Everest. But here's the secret. Every single complex app out there, from your favorite social media platform to the most advanced mobile game, they all start with the exact same foundational steps we're going to cover today. You've got to build the environment before you can build the empire.
To get us there, here's a quick look at our roadmap. We'll go over the rules of the lab, set up the environment, create your first project, navigate Android Studio, build Hello World, and finally, tackle your next coding challenge. Let's jump right in.
Starting off with Section 1, Rules of the Lab.
Before we touch a single line of code, we really need to lay down the ground rules for our learning environment. Think of these as the dragons you need to avoid on your quest. Keep food, drinks, and personal devices totally away from the practical workstations. And, of course, save your work often. But here are the two biggest dragons to watch out for. There is a strict 10% penalty deduction per day for late eCampus submissions, and an absolute zero-tolerance policy for plagiarism. Seriously, protect your work and do your own coding.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, Setting up the Environment.
With the rules understood, it's time to actually construct our digital workbench. We're using Android Studio, which is the official Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, for developing Android apps. But before that can even run, it needs an underlying foundation, which is a compatible Java Development Kit, or JDK. If your system is missing it, you'll just need to download it directly from Oracle to proceed.
Now, during the installation, you're going to be asked to choose your components. This is absolutely crucial. Make sure you grab the Android virtual device right now. Doing this is going to save you a massive headache later on, because we are definitely going to need it to emulate a phone right on our computer screen to test the app. Just confirm your installation path, check your disk space, and move on to the next step.
Once you hit Install, the extraction process kicks off. Keep in mind, after the basic installation finishes, you absolutely have to have an active internet connection. Why? Well, Android Studio will automatically reach out to the web to download additional requirement files. These are basically critical dependency files that make all the behind-the-scenes magic happen. Without them, your workbench is essentially missing its most important tools.
Okay, Section 3, Creating your first project. The tedious setup is finally out of the way.
Our environment is built, so it's time to officially launch our app. When starting a new project, you'll name your application and immediately face a bit of a programming crossroads. You'll notice recent versions of Android Studio actually default to Kotlin. However, for this specific course module, you must explicitly select Java. Stick strictly to Java for today and choose phones and tablets for your form factor.
This brings us to a really important screen. Android Studio gives you several templates to get started, but you need to explicitly choose the Empty Views activity. An activity is basically a core Android application component, and starting with an empty one gives us a perfect clean slate. Just double-check that your language dropdown is set firmly to Java before hitting Next. From there, name your activity. Naming it Main Activity will generate our Java file, and it'll automatically generate our XML layout file called activity_main.
Welcome to Section 4, Navigating Android Studio.
Now that our project is created, let's metaphorically open the drawers of our newly installed toolkit and see what we're working with. Over on the left side, you'll see the project folder structure panel. The very first drawer we're going to open is the manifests folder, which holds a file called androidmanifest.xml. I like to think of this file as the ultimate ID card for your app. It holds all the critical information the Android system needs to know. Things like your app's metadata, the required Android version, and all the core application components.
Next up is the Java folder. This folder is essentially the brain of our operation. It contains all of our logic. And because we named our activity Main Activity during the setup phase, you'll see a Java file sitting right here with that exact same name, just waiting to execute our instructions.
Right below that is the Res folder, which stands for Resources. If the Java folder is the brain, well, the Res folder is the paint and canvas. It has a few subfolders that make your app actually look beautiful. The Drawable folder stores your image files. The Layout folder holds the XML files that define the user interface. And the Values folder holds files like strings.xml, which stores all your text labels, and colors.xml, which, you guessed it, stores your color codes.
Finally, down at the bottom, we have the Gradle scripts folder. This is literally the engine room of your app. These scripts contain the configuration info and all the required dependency files you need to actually build and run the application. Just a quick word of warning here, if you have errors down in your Gradle scripts, your app is going to fail to install entirely. So keep this engine room clean.
All right, Section 5, Building Hello World.
We know our way around the workbench, so it's time to connect the logic to the canvas and build our very first app. Let's look at the UI. Inside our layout file, activity_main.xml, we're going to add a text view element. What's really interesting here is how the constraints for bottom, left, right, and top are all set to parent. This brilliant little mechanism basically locks our text view directly to the screen's borders, which centers it perfectly. You'll also notice the width and height are set to wrap_content. That just means the box dynamically sizes itself based on the length of our text, which we've set to say, "Hello Android."
Now, over in the brain of our app, mainActivity.java, we have a vital piece of code called the onCreate method. This method gets triggered the exact moment the user launches the app. And this is a great illustration of how Android works. Inside this method, there's a function called setContentView. This specific line of code acts as a bridge. It literally tells the Java brain to reach into the resource folder, grab our XML visual canvas, and display it on the screen. It connects the logic directly to the layout.
Everything is in place. The code is written, the layout is set, and that brings us to the moment of truth for any developer. Up in the Android Studio toolbar, you'll see a little green play icon. That is your run button. Take a deep breath and go ahead and click it.
And there it is. If your Android virtual device is configured properly, a phone emulator will pop up right on your screen. The blank canvas is defeated, and the words "Hello Android" are proudly displayed right in the center. You have successfully engineered a working mobile application completely from scratch. Seriously, take a moment to celebrate that victory.
But of course, we aren't stopping there. Moving into Section 6, your next coding challenge.
Now that you have the tools and the knowledge, it's time to step up and take on a solo assignment. Your challenge is to build a personal profile app. You're going to start a brand new Android project with an empty activity and name it with your student ID followed by _01. Then use that res folder to add a profile picture and use text views to display some personal info, like your major, your address, and your hobbies. Connect it all up and test the whole thing on your virtual device to make sure it looks absolutely perfect before you submit your report.
You now have a fully functioning digital workbench and the skills to create an application from an empty activity. Let me leave you with this final thought. This simple Hello Android screen, it's the fundamental building block of the world's most complex software. If you can build this foundational app today, what incredible, world-changing experiences will you be engineering tomorrow? The possibilities are entirely in your hands now. Keep coding, keep exploring, and I will see you in the next explainer.